Welcome back to Talkin' Shit, where we are talking all sorts of shit. Schitt's Creek, that is. Today, we are talking about Season 5, Episode 12, The Roast. And as usual, I'm Jess Sterling, and I am joined by someone who definitely would study turtles in the Galapagos Islands, Stuart! Stuart, how are you?
That sounds like fun. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. Turtles are cute.
Old turtles are pretty cool. Like when they live to like hundreds of years old, like that's pretty epic. So yeah. I mean, I take that on. I'll take it.
I love the little videos of the baby turtles going into the water for the first time. They have to like dig out and they climb real hard, and then they,
like
it's great.
Just need to reach the water. The water. And then I just imagine that they all do talk like the ones from Finding Nemo as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want anyone to ruin that headcanon. Like turtles talk in the water. Just don't ruin it for me.
But today we're not alone. We are joined by a very special guest, someone who definitely would get private dance lessons to prep for cabaret, Todd the Librarian. Todd, how are you? Todd, you're muted.
Man, muted. Just completely messed up my intro. I'm sure gonna have some tasty rippers about me now because of that.
Some tasty rippers. Oh gosh, we're gonna have fun discussing this episode and all that Johnny does. And I just want to know how Stuart is going to not give Johnny Disgruntled Pelican points for just being really bad at jokes.
I mean,
so rough.
He lost control of the room whenever he let Jocelyn heckle him without responding. That's, the instant Jocelyn said, "Are you talking about, is that a crack of my cooking?" Johnny should have said, "Oh, look, Jocelyn can't recognize a joke. No wonder she married Roland." Then that would have given him the control in the room.
Damn, Todd. Woo, that was a good ripper. My gosh. Yeah, there's a lot to chat about this episode. Todd, I'm going to just make an assumption, and you have to tell me if I'm wrong. I presume you wanted this episode because of the whole money cabaret moment.
Yes. That is definitely the reason why I want this. You gave me the list of episodes that were available. Like, none of the titles jumped out at me because I forgot that this was in the roast episode. So then I had to Google, okay, money Schitt's Creek to see which episode. And I saw it was a roast. I'm like, oh no, this feels like an episode that could go really badly cringe-wise. And then I watched it's a little cringy, but not overpoweringly cringy, like the dead body episode, which I never in a million years could have talked about that because I would have just been screaming about how cringe it was. But the roast is much less cringe you expect. But yeah, Cabaret as one of my favorite musicals, the movie version I've seen many times. I saw the live production for the first time early this year. I'd never seen a stage production. They're very, very different. But Money is one of my favorite songs from Cabaret. It's one of my favorite numbers from it. And I had seen the gif of them dancing for a long time before I saw the episode and had no context. And so whenever I got this episode, I'm like, not only is this gif great, and I've been wanting to see the context, but the gif is great. And it's also them doing Money and looking ridiculous as they're dancing to Money and singing it. And so, that is the biggest reason I wanted to come on so I could talk about Money and Cabaret and all of that fun stuff. And then the other stuff is Johnny roast, whatever.
So offensive to Johnny. Well, before we discuss this episode, let's do a quick little recap at the top in case you forgot what happened. Patrick and Stevie are going behind Moira's back to get private dance lessons to prepare for cabaret, and David is tasked with keeping Moira preoccupied. Naturally, she finds out about their dancing, but seems pretty pleased with the results, so all is well. And David even feigns ignorance and gets an apology out of the two of them. So look at him. Meanwhile, with Moira on cabaret duty, Johnny stands in for her at the annual mayor's roast, which honestly just seems like a potluck at Jocelyn's house where people shit on Roland. So sign me up. Johnny struggles to be funny, but actually has a pretty decent moment in the spotlight. Ted has been accepted into a prestigious research program in the Galapagos Islands for 6 months, but doesn't want to leave Alexis. After realizing everything Ted has done for her, Alexis agrees to go with him on the trip. And that's our episode. Stuart, what did you think?
Good and bad.
Such a long pause. The longest pause I think that's ever happened.
I know I'm meant to come in here with like kind of like hot opinions and things like that, but I was kind of like, there were things that I really enjoyed about it, and there were bits that I was a bit like about, and then there were things that I'm like, I can see what they're teeing up here, and I'm not here for that, and so I'm kind of down on it. I'm like, I don't want this to happen. Why is Ted looking at the Galapagos Islands? Ted, what are you doing to me, buddy?
Because of the turtles, Stuart.
Yeah,
the turtles.
Wonderful. That's like, okay, in universe, like, yeah, okay, the things happened. Writer's room, why? Why are you going to make me sad here? Because I'm okay. I'm assuming that this is going to lead to something serious. I don't think this is going to be like a throwaway plot point. I think this is going to be something that like comes to a head at the end of this season, or even like next season at some point. And it makes me nervous as hell. And like, good on you for like having a little bit of a poker face here, Jess, because obviously you know what's coming up, and like I know I could be like spectacularly wrong, but I'm worried about that. And so that's like, I'm kind of like watching this with almost like a slight sense of dread a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, loved it. We'll say that at the very least.
Yeah, fair enough. I think something I didn't remember about season 5 is truly how little we see of Ted. I feel like we've just once him and Alexis got back together and Alexis was no longer working at the vet's office, I feel like the show was like, well, we follow Alexis, we don't follow Ted, so like we don't see much of Ted. And it makes me a little sad because Todd, I mean I love Ted, number one, but also it just feels like, okay, I felt like he was kind of like a Patrick, where once he was introduced we should be seeing him consistently, even if he's not with like around Alexis, you know? So yeah, obviously we're in the territory, Todd, where we know what happens with Ted in the Galapagos, and which also I always thought it was Galapagos. But I feel like this is like a Oregon situation where it's like, well, people from Oregon don't say Oregon. And so I have to be very careful because I don't want to say it incorrectly.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the actual correct pronunciation of it is. I've heard both, and so it's like, yeah, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Yeah, I love Ted. Ted, like up until Patrick was introduced, Ted was probably my favorite character on the show, and then Patrick became my favorite character on the show. So I hadn't even thought about the fact that we don't see him as much. But yeah, even we see him like in a few big storylines, but he's definitely not there constantly because the focus has been more on Alexis and her like new career and trying to develop that stuff. So David has that, but also his partner Patrick is part of his career as well. So it's much easier to write Patrick into that stuff, and Ted, it's a little bit harder to write into Alexis's storylines in that way. So they throw something in every once in a while. The slumber party with Big Guy.
Oh, the best.
Them role playing at Rose Apothecary in the bathroom. So you have like, some Ted stuff, but yeah, not as much. And I will say this episode, not a great look for Ted. The inability for him to just be straightforward and tell Alexis what's going on. Which
it's a little manipulative, right? Like the way in which he goes about it, trying to get her excited and on board before he says what he's actually thinking. Whereas I think it'd honestly be a little easier to get her on board if he's like, I have a work thing. It's 6 months. It's on an island. I want you to come with me. Like, I think there's a greater chance you're getting her on board that way. Maybe not when she hears about the bugs and the shots and all that stuff, but I think it's easier than being like, let's go on a trip. And she's like, great, I will figure out where we're going because I know all the best islands.
Yeah. And the big question for me is, so she finds the Charles Darwin Research Institute pamphlet. Did he lay that out for her to find? Or did she just happen to see it because he had it thrown away after he gave up on his dreams?
Oh, I assume he left it by the dishes and he's like, Alexis will never go near the dishes. I don't have to worry about her finding it there.
Yeah, I don't think he left it out because he seemed to be kind of like, defensive and like not wanting to answer questions about it. But also at the same time, it feels a little weird for it to just be laying out if he's not wanting to talk about it.
He's literally, when she like confronts him about it, he's reading a magazine called Journey Away. Like he is 100%, I think, leaving it out for her to find it and to be like, "Oh, babe, like, do you want to talk about this?" And he goes, "Well, I've been thinking about going away, so this would be a good." I see it as a lot of kind of like setting the stage for a conversation to go the way he wants the conversation to go.
Yeah.
Not the most egregious thing that I saw in that scene, by the way. Ted was wearing shoes in his own house, which for me, I'm just like, no, put my shoes inside, buddy. That's not good.
Why was he? Where are his slippers? Ted feels like a big house shoes guy. Like, he feels like he would have house shoes.
1,000%.
Where were the house shoes?
I have no arguments against that. Like, it really does strike me as that. Like,
also, I will say, to give Ted some credit this episode, his French toast looked out of this world. He had like powdered sugar and fruit on the side. My guy, this is incredible.
He's buttering her up. Like, he's trying to like engineer this to go the way it was. Like, wants to get her in a good mood and is there just trying to like kind of appease things. And so, yeah, it really isn't a great look for Ted. Like, he's being quite shifty with all this stuff.
Yeah, and then he acts so pissy towards the end of the thing. She's like, I don't, because she's like saying, I don't want you to give this up for me. I don't want to feel like you're giving this up. He's like, well, it's exactly what's happening, Alexis, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm like, dude, come on, you know?
He's like pre-resenting her already for sitting in town when he has this like, and I think the thing that I love is that it doesn't last very long. Like, he realizes very quickly, like, wow, that was actually bad. Like, that didn't go the way I thought it would. And it was my fault. And so he gets her flowers and he apologizes. And I think here's the thing. While I didn't like the argument and the way Ted went about it, like kind of manipulative and underhanded, I do think it got a better end result in terms of having a little bit of a rift between them, got Alexis's mind working of like, oh, I didn't really realize just how much Ted sacrifices for me and that I really don't reciprocate at all. And I love I love Twyla so much, and I love their conversation. Like, Twyla gives the best advice sometimes, and I don't even know that she's quite aware of how good she is at it. But I don't know, I like that Alexis did get to the place where she's like, I should give up something for Ted. And 6 months, I mean, I don't know, I look at 6 months and I'm like, is that the long time of time? Like six months? I mean, 6 months in a new relationship, I feel like is a lot more time than 6 months if like with a grounded, serious relationship. 6 months will go by in a flash. Like, whether you go or not, like whether you go with him or you don't, 6 months is going to fly by. Like, I don't see why either one of you has to make a sacrifice for just 6 months. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It didn't seem like that long of a time.
Yeah. I mean, when I was watching this episode, I even messaged you and was just like, 6 months. Like, what's the big deal? Like, it seems like the kind of thing that they should probably be over. And I guess it kind of speaks to maybe not the solidity of their relationship, and also kind of like the fact that like Ted doesn't know really the best way to bring this up and have this conversation and the best way to pitch it. I think that kind of like says a lot. It's kind of good, I guess, the way in which Twyla helps out here. It's just awful that Alexis goes through the whole method of to try and like get her attention like that. I think there's a certain element of cringe expected from the Johnny storyline. I didn't expect it in this bit right here, because
but Alexis doesn't know how
she's trying to do.
She doesn't know how to do this, though. And I think the reason she doesn't know how to do this is because she's not really had serious relationships where she's actually had to contemplate compromising or like anything like that. So I don't think she's ever done this. And on top of that, I don't think she's ever had a friend to really confide in this way. I think every other friend she's ever had in her life has been like a surface friend. So she doesn't know how to approach this sort of a like, hey, can I ask for your serious advice on a serious relationship issue? Like, that's just not a part of Alexis's past. So I totally understand her wanting Twyla to like initiate the conversation, even if it is like so manufactured.
Jess, I can't believe you said that she has never had like this serious relationship. She once maintained a successful semi-committed sex relationship with Josh Hartnett while he was filming Pearl Harbor, okay?
I love her so much. Her stories are so ridiculous. I love it. Especially when he's like, oh, and all the shots, and she's like, yes, let's celebrate. She's so bless her sweet little heart. But yeah, I love that she does, like, she, even when he says like, I was wrong, like I didn't like the way things happened and I wanted to apologize, and she could have just said like, oh, thank you, Ted, like, yeah, I thought that was like really weird. But no, she's like, no, I was wrong. Like, she actually admitted some fault in that, the give and the take isn't quite equitable in their relationship. I don't know.
I love her description of it. Yeah, he gives and gives and gives, and I also have learned to take. It's just like, you learned that, Alexis, that wasn't your default? Okay.
Yeah. So, Stuart, I want to know, now that we know that this is a storyline, Ted has a grant in the Galapagos Islands for 6 months. Alexis has agreed to go with him. I want to know predictions on where this storyline leads to.
There is no way that she goes. I can't see that happening. I think he does. And I think that this might be like it'll come to a head, like a conversation. They'll realize that this is the mature thing to do, maybe. And like, I don't know, maybe if it lasts, maybe he'll come back and then they'll get back to things or something. I don't know. But I can't see her going, just purely for the fact that, like, at the end, he even talks about it, like, they have to stay in tents. Like, we saw how long it's taken them to acclimatize.
Alexis has gone to Coachella. Stuart, how dare you?
Shut up. Coachella is nothing like that at all. Oh my god. The shit I see coming out of Coachella is quite wild. So this coming weekend is Glastonbury, which is like the biggest UK festival. And everyone decries the fact that it's becoming like very kind of like against its roots. It's becoming a bit more bougie with like glamping and all of like the pre-erected tents that you can go and purchase that come with like all this stuff. People take beds to Coachella and like living rooms and set them up and stuff. And I'm like, this is the American influence on our festival culture, and I'm not here for it in the slightest. There's one thing I'm going to get very patriotic about, is the fact that we like to go to festivals and get muddy and like live like in filth for a short period of time. So it's like, well, I'm not having it with Coachella. I'm going to put my foot in the ground now. Just going to say it.
Well, I'm sorry for my people ruining your festivals. Anything else about Ted and Alexis before we move on to one of these other storylines? All right, let's talk through the mayor's roast. I think let's save Stevie and Patrick for last. I would so be on board for this. Invite me every year to this event where we just get to roast Roland. Like, incredible. And I don't know why, Todd, that when Moira couldn't make it because she's busy with Cabaret, that like Johnny is the second pick. Like, he just seems too kind to roast anyone adequately, you know?
Well, to be fair, he wasn't their second pick. It was like Bob's cousin who's driving from out of town.
How could I forget Bob's cousin?
Drive in for it or something, weren't they?
Yeah, and then Johnny interposed himself and like insisted that he would take Moira's spot. So he definitely was not on their radar, and for good reason. I think we definitely see why he was not on their radar, because I'd agree, in general, I would not think of Johnny as good roaster material, even though he gets, maybe a one or two good ones in there before he completely craps the bed at the end. Though he does a pretty good job of roasting his own family. His roasts of his own family were much better than any of his roasts during the actual roast.
Yeah. Burn David. It's so good. Yeah. What it wasn't surprising is that Ronnie was good at roasting. I was like, naturally, she's a natural. I love the scene of Johnny trying out his jokes on Bob and Ronnie and them just roasting him back instead. Stuart, it was everything.
Oh yeah. Like, the whole setup was, I kind of love the fact that like he had to go and seek the advice from Ronnie and Bob, and like the two of them were just heckling while also like begrudging like the fact that he'd like brought them out and stuff. It was just the setup was brilliant because you just know exactly what we're going to get from this entire situation. You're going to get Johnny absolutely kind of like fumble, and it's either going to go one of the two ways. He's going to like fumble so badly he's the worst roaster ever, or we're going to see a slight redemption arc, which is kind of good. And I thought the way in which they set out with Ronnie and like having that kind of I guess slight hill to climb in terms of like getting a joke that even Ronnie finds funny was really kind of a good way of like setting that up. But Ronnie being good at roasting is hardly surprising to me. Like Ronnie, I imagine, is roasting constantly, and I wouldn't actually be surprised if this all came about from like Ronnie just laying into Roland, and they go, "We should do this once a year. Let's
Yes.
make this a regular thing."
Yeah, Ronnie she's just saying the things out loud now. Like
Yeah.
all of this is happening in her head, and now she's just saying the words aloud. I do love the cargo pants jokes from Johnny aimed at Ronnie. I do love the joke about Jocelyn's cooking, because we know she makes like Dorito casseroles and stuff, so kind of deserves that.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought this was fun. And like the worst part, and Todd, you are someone who I believe like absolutely can't stand cringe humor. So I think the worst part of the episode is certainly watching Johnny fail and like fall on his face quite a number of times with these jokes.
Yeah, that's the worst part. But like I said, there's enough of a redemption in the middle that it kind of, and it doesn't go on too, it's like if he had fumbled the entire time, I would have hated it. If he'd just been constantly bombing and no one giving him a chance, which is also a thing that bothers me. Like if he had said something that was, because I feel like his Jocelyn joke about the cooking wasn't bad, but they all acted like it was, and so that sort of thing bothers me. Like, okay, no, he's not doing a bad job, but you're acting like he's doing a bad job because you don't give a chance. That sort of stuff bothers me as well. But I think they found a fairly good balance of the cringe and him actually succeeding before he bombs again, and so I think they managed to thread that needle pretty well for my low cringe tolerance level.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him when he comes up and he doesn't. I think the opening joke wasn't necessarily like a real stinker, but it certainly wasn't like him taking command of the room and like kind of, because I think that's like 90% of like the whole battle of like any form of stand up is that like it's all about room control rather than it's the actual material. Because like you get some people that just go up, say absurdist things of like just like, oh, this is really random, but it's the delivery that kind of makes it. And Johnny went out there completely lacking confidence, and I can't imagine why after the whole Bob and Ronnie situation. Like, not as if he was like dragged down there. So like, I thought he did well to rescue it a little bit and to like find that opening and to grasp it. So like Johnny, I thought did really kind of good, and yeah, like you said, it was like, it wasn't as cringe as it could have been. Like it could have been a lot worse. I'm so glad it didn't go down.
And I think it felt
there's only so much I can tolerate.
I think it felt quite realistic to have him struggle at the start, kind of find his footing, and then maybe go on a little too long, and then like lose it at the end. That all felt very realistic to me. But I think my favorite joke of the roast was actually a Ronnie joke. No one's surprised. Look at Bob pretending to get it. And we all know Gwen, he hasn't gotten it in years.
Yes.
And Gwen is there. It's so good. The whole thing is so again, Gwen, just queen of sitting, queen of being present. You know, she has perfect attendance. I love her so much.
One thing I have to ask though is like during the whole like bit where they are giving him advice, aftershave being a bit too European, what does that mean?
I don't know. I feel like Bob, this is what I get from Bob, because Bob has made comments before about like Johnny dresses all fancy. Bob, even though he does not sound it, gives like rural Southern America at times. Like, and I know he's Canadian, but like sometimes he gives off the vibe of like, oh, us little country bumpkins have no idea what you're talking about. Like that's kind of the vibe he gives off. And so I think him saying that the cologne is too European is like, well, it's not Axe body spray, so I'm unfamiliar with this scent. I don't know,
That's
Todd, as someone who's closer to you are from Southern America, does that track at all with who Bob is?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a pretty good read of his personality and what that comment is supposed to entail.
Yeah. It's just he always pokes at Johnny for being like too fancy schmance for this like small town, you know? Who ever knows with Bob though? I don't care. You know what? I believe him. It probably does smell too European, Johnny. So good.
Do you notice as well, lending to the whole like mystery with Gwen and like what's going on, not sat together. Ronnie sat between them, which I thought was like interesting. I was like, because I was
do couples have to sit next to one another? I don't think Roland was sitting next to Jocelyn.
Next to each other, but I'm going to read into absolutely everything to do with this, because the more that Gwen becomes this mysterious figure, the more I want to know, and the more I'm going to analyze everything about what is going on. Yeah. So we're going to see things that probably aren't there. But
my pushback on that is I think it's a bit of a red flag if you're at a party and people who are partners in real life are like only hanging out together. Like that's a red flag. Go mingle. Like don't be a weirdo, you know? Like literally you see that person all the time. Like don't be a weirdo about it. Unless it's the only person you know. That's your exception, you know.
But then you just got to be the big guy, and then you've got to like, you know, do shots with
big
people.
Guy. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else on the Johnny tries to roast people?
I guess we talk about him roasting his family at the end, because it kind of ties into that. Because that's like one of my favorite scenes of the episode is like Moira's like, I'm sure you did with all the venom of a silkworm. And he's like, well, it's not a good look on you, Moira. Just like, and he mentioned some outfit.
Mirror jumpsuit that she wore to Candy Spellings. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that Johnny had some really good rippers against all of his family. You know, he knew exactly where to aim to hurt on them. I think my favorite was his burn on David. Oh, David, smart enough to get that joke, but not smart enough to stop wearing sweaters in the summer.
No, I felt personally attacked by that one.
Stuart, who is, as if anyone's watching the video on YouTube will notice, he is wearing a sweatshirt, and I am in a tank top. We don't live in the same, you know, part of the world, but it's not that much colder where Stuart is.
Yeah, it is 29C today, if anyone's counting. But yeah, it's not at the moment. It's the evening, so leave me alone.
2 Fahrenheit.
It's
84, and you are wearing a sweatshirt.
It was earlier in the day. I do have a fan like right here, though, so it's all good.
Unhinged.
Leave me alone.
To be fair, I live in Texas, and normally you would see me in a sweatshirt right now, but I took it off because I didn't want to get called out for it after the other comment. But I keep my apartment cold enough that then bundle up.
Wild. I'm in my basement, which is fairly cold because it's a basement, and I am wearing a tank top because it's hot. And when I am podcasting, for some reason, I sweat more. Like I don't know. I don't know why, but I can't.
Pressure of it, Jess.
So much.
It's just intense, this whole process.
This is an intense podcast. My favorite joke of the final scene was David outing that Alexis has a lower back tattoo, and then it says, "That's hot" in Cantonese, and that she got it in Hong Kong.
And she was 12.
12. It's outrageous.
That's hot.
Like what? This of all of the Alexis kind of like weird backstory is the wildest, because for one, she was in Hong Kong unsupervised at the age of 12 and did things that her parents aren't aware of. This is wild. Like if there is ever a case to blame Johnny and Moira for the way David and Alexis are, this is what I would be presenting in court. I'd be like, look, this is negligent parenting.
And
right
also,
here.
like, I wouldn't. Okay, we know at this point Alexis is probably in her like late 20s or like at least mid 20s. I'm not hiding a tattoo at that point in my life. You know what I mean? All my parents have seen all my tattoos, and when I got the most recent one, I was like, I'm old enough. Like, I make my own decisions. They, like, why are you bothering to hide this? How has no one noticed a lower back tattoo? How are you hiding this? Come on.
Yeah. For like, it's just like even like early 20, like for a decade. She's been hiding this for like at least a decade from her parents, and I gotta give props to her for being able to do that. That takes some skill and some determination, considering like some of the outfits that she wears to be able to do that. Well
makeup,
done, Alexis. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just love the way that she delivers that. I love like, but I was 12. Like that explains it all instead of just like that's further questions, Alexis. We have further questions after saying you were 12 when this happened.
Yeah, it's perfect.
There was some zingers though. Like I thought Moira gave back just as good. Like the whole like silkworm thing and the whole comparison with Blockbuster, which I thought was after all this time to acknowledge like the competition. And they clearly were not a Blockbuster replacement. It was a competitor, and they were nowhere near as big as Blockbuster. That was really funny. But then also the David zinger. I'm surprised that you're accepting of this, Jess. Like, low standards. He's dating Patrick.
I view that as everyone prior to Patrick. In my mind, there's just 0% chance that they were ever referring to Patrick because everyone loves him.
Okay.
He's wearing blue again today.
I did notice. And it took 31 minutes for you to get to it. Yeah.
I want to know. Someone needs to make a supercut of every single time I say Patrick was wearing blue.
At least once an episode.
At least.
Like, in not referring to Patrick, do you know who it does? Like, it refers to Sebastian Rain. Okay, fair. Very fair and valid point. It also refers to Stevie. So, I mean, rude.
I guess, but like I think all of them, including us, have just forgotten that happened. We've all moved on.
I have not forgotten about it. It's formative.
You should.
Glad.
I guess, but I always viewed it as because we know David has like a really bad dating history. So I mean, I feel like the same could be said of Alexis, though, for being honest.
Yeah,
including Mutt, who's on the show. It's just like terrible standards.
Low standards apply there, yeah.
Oh yeah, the jokes were pretty good. I especially agree with you, Todd. I think that the last few in the motel room with the family were the best ones because they're all just like, "Oh, Dad, what's yours?" Like it's and then they start roasting each other, and they're all just like so proud of themselves. It's really great. But let's talk about Stevie and Patrick. And you know what I love? I love when you see one member of a couple and that the other couples, I don't know how to explain this. Like Patrick and David are dating,
friend of one,
but like Patrick and
with,
Stevie,
like, the spouse. Yeah,
they're like having a great time. They're like all giggly and like they have a little thing now. Like they have a little thing that they can like talk about and laugh about together. And I love it. And I love that David is so pressed. I love it. I love it so much. And I think it took me a second, Todd, to understand exactly what this storyline was, where it's like Moira's choreography and more so the direction that she's giving makes so little sense to them that they have had to farm out the choreography instruction to a private dance lesson person. Because when Moira sees them later, it's like, okay, but did she come up with that choreography? Like, is she going to be shocked on the day of the actual play?
I was a little confused about that because it did sound like, okay, there's choreography they're having a hard time understanding, but they're going to this other guy to teach them. But then whenever David asked Moira, did you choreograph that? She's like, well, I loosened the pickle jar lid and he took it off. Like, so it sounds like she started the choreography, but then he made it into something better. Is kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Probably because her directions are things like dance like an Indonesian scarf caught in the wind. And what the hell does that mean? Seriously. So yeah, you do need someone a little bit, more versed in talking to the common people to give them some better direction. Although to be fair, I don't think even professional dancers are going to know what moving like an Indonesian scarf caught in the wind means. I think that's a Moira specific example that no one else on Earth is going to get, which feels very in keeping with Moira. But yeah, I was a little confused about whether it was just them nailing her choreography or if it was, oh, her choreography was just so out there that this person's now taken that and made it into something, because she both says like, oh, I loosened the pickle jar lid, but also whenever the guy, Derek, I think was his name, and whenever Derek tells us a good piece, she's like, I know. So
yeah,
it's a little unclear how much Moira had to contribute to it.
I kind of feel like he was running translation. Like, I feel like they probably have got the basic steps nailed down because, I mean, they've been rehearsing with Moira, right? So they must have, like, at least that down. And she's giving all of these refinements, like the dance, like an Indonesian scarf. And so like, they're probably going, she's telling us this. And he goes, okay, maybe she wants this. And then from there, they've kind of like taken it and run with it and kind of refined it and made it kind of like better, which kind of explains the whole maybe like loosening the lid and then popping the jar, like that kind of making sense. In terms of like them doing this, I can understand because it's Moira, but I didn't feel like this was too egregious. Like in terms of like, I thought it was so wonderful that they're actually taking it so seriously that they are needing to do this or wanting to do this, and also the fact that David is kind of supporting it as well by like going along with this like line, having to keep Moira busy this whole time. I thought that was really sweet.
I love how annoyed he is about it, where he's like, I'm the one who's having to keep my mother occupied. It's so perfect. And I love him getting away with it and being like, yeah, I had no idea. And they're like, sorry, David. Sorry, David. It's perfect. I agree with you, Stuart. The fact that they care enough to like get extra help rather than being like arms up in the air, like, oh, whatever, like they care. And I think David goes along with it because he's like, I don't want to be embarrassed by Patrick going on stage and like completely blowing it. So I think that's where his interests lie. Yeah, it's perfect. But Todd, you've seen this. Stuart and I, we're going to let you know, people, we are going to watch Cabaret ahead of, I think we had said ahead of the finale, I think is what we said. Is that what we said? Yeah. Ahead of the finale, we are going to be watching Cabaret. So we will have some semblance of like a knowledge base there, but we don't get Todd. So I want to know, was this like a good performance of Money? Because you've seen Cabaret.
Yeah, I think it was a fine performance. I don't think it was like the best performance. I don't think it's supposed to be the best performance because they still are like low level, just getting the stuff. But I think overall it was good. I think there's like some of the tempo was off a little bit between the singing and the music, which kind of throws me every time I watch it. But it is like my favorite part of the song. We have any coals in your stove and your freeze in the winter and you're cursed to the wind that your you have any shoes in your feet and your coats in the paper and you look 30 pounds underweight. Like that whole little rapid fire thing and them echoing each other. I think they did like a really good job of all of that, and then just like the over the topness of their movement. I think it's a fun thing, nowhere near as good as Joel Grey and Liza Minnelli in the original film, but you wouldn't really expect that from these kind of low level performers here that they are portraying. But yeah, I think it's really fun. It's very over the top, very goofy, the movements that they're doing, which adds into it. But also like the number itself is kind of like a burlesque number in a way where it's like very over the top movements and things like that anyway. So it kind of very fits into that world. And I will say, I mentioned this in a Discord comment once, but this song was written for the movie. This song was not in the original stage play, and it is now in the stage play. There's like 2 or 3 songs that are written for the film that then got incorporated into the stage play and replaced other songs that existed previously in the stage play. And one of those is a song that you'll see in the finale during the performance. Like one of the songs that's informed there is another song that was written for the movie and then got incorporated into the stage play moving forward after that. And it's funny because they're 2 of my favorite songs from the show. So 2 of my favorite songs were ones that were not in the original Broadway production that were just written for the film and then kind of got incorporated back in later.
Yeah, Stevie's cartwheel. Like, who knew?
I thought that was so good.
It's good. It's really good. And that was the thing they were having trouble doing? Because that's like we just haven't really nailed the lift. Like, what is this, Dirty Dancing? So
Yeah.
That line was also great. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, it's so perfect.
But I think one of my favorite things in this whole sequence is at the very end, whenever David's like, I'm not embarrassed. I thought I would be. And Patrick's still so sweet. It's just like
Yeah.
that Patrick says so sweet to David saying he's not embarrassed by Patrick, and his legs like tree trunks here is perfect.
I love
So
that he
relatable.
said thank you. He wasn't offended by that. He was like, thank you. It's so good.
Yeah.
I thought that despite like David's like comment about being embarrassed, although it can seem like a bit of a stinger, I would thought that was actually kind of sweet in a way, because it's like saying I had worries and I was silly to have had those because this was really good. Maybe a bit too honest. Like maybe you could sugarcoat it a little bit better. Just be like, that was great.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily have to say the embarrassment thing, but I think with the context of it being said, I'm like, no, it's a really nice thing to actually acknowledge.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a backhand compliment, but I think the spirit was intended to be encouraging, even if the delivery was not.
Yeah. I the bit where he Moira's like scolding them and Dan Levy is there just like he's so good at playing like I find this funny, but I'm not allowed to show that outwardly. But I'm gonna like show it just on the surface, just so you know that I find this funny. Was really great, and the way in which they both, like Patrick and Stevie, both respond in the same manner to David, like going along with the joke.
Sorry,
kind of like it kind of harkens back to like the opening scene, like those two getting along quite well. And it's like quite clearly why David loves Patrick, because David loves Stevie as well. Like I
love it so much.
It's a romantic love. Like they still love each other as like friends in that thing, and they are very similar in that sense. And I thought that was a great. And
they love making fun of David. Like that's the best part, you know. Like they both are like, Moira's insane, and we both can agree on that. The fact that we find out that in the Little Mister pageant, David went to Mario Lopez for help, and Moira was so upset and felt so betrayed that she forgot to double knot his shoes. It's perfect. She's so spiteful and petty. I love it.
I love it.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Like, listen, a pinch of moral corruption is a small price to pay, as Moira says. So.
It's perfect. I love that she wasn't that upset about it. That she was like, wow, like because it worked, because they're really good. I think she can, in her mind, somehow be like, this was me, and then this guy just like pushed it the last inch. You know, this was all me, and then this Derek guy helped out a little bit. And look at my little baby birds, they're flying. Like I feel like that's what's happening in her head.
Yeah, 1,000%.
It's not like Moira to take credit for other people's stuff. Like it's very unlike her. But like I think it's also like it just speaks to the fact that I think like David is very proud of them in this moment. Like they've clearly worked incredibly hard on this. And for like Moira, like she sees people that are being passionate about something that she is now passionate in as well. And so she shares that. And so of course she's gonna absolutely let it fly. It's going to scold them like on the surface level, but ultimately it's going to be very quite happy with everything that's going on. This is turning out so much better than I thought it would be. Like I thought like we'd get a production, like, and it might be a little kind of like cringy in parts, but it'll have like some good redeeming qualities. But this is shaping up to be really effing good. Like I'm so excited for like. I want to see it. Like, I hope that they don't scrim out on it and it's not just like a number. Like, I want to see like the whole thing. If there's a like,
we're gonna get a 2-hour episode of Schitt's Creek. The entirety of Cabaret.
I want it. Release the unedited cut, you cowards. Oh gosh, but yeah, I kind of share what you, because there's a few numbers that I know from Cabaret. Like I watched it years and years and years ago, but they're like the songs that like I'm aware of, and I'm not sure if the one that you're referring to, Todd, is it Maybe This Time?
Yeah, Maybe This Time is one.
That's the one that I am like seriously hoping is included.
Okay,
so,
I have a question, Todd. Did someone sing Maybe This Time in Glee at some point?
Yes.
I know that song. Okay. I'm so embarrassing. but I do know it, and I think I know it because of that. Because I don't, and I'm pretty sure it's Rachel who sings it, right? The crazy one, the one who can't read.
Kristen Chenoweth does it.
I think it's Kristen. I think it's Kristen Chenoweth. I think April Rhodes did it.
Yeah, because she hits this
when
like
she stops,
ridiculously
she comes
high
back
note
to
at the end.
school. She comes back to school and is like, "I'm gonna finish high school," even though she's like a 40-year-old woman, and she sings that song. Yes. Okay, I've seen it. I know that song. She kills it. Wow.
Let's not talk about Glee.
Oh, it's very embarrassing for me, but I'm just gonna let you know that's how I know it. Anyway, anything else on this episode before we jump into our ratings?
I like to talk a little bit about Moira's reaction to David getting a little clingy. I thought that was really funny. That he's like trying to make it, David, you've been a little clingy lately. You should go out. And then he's having to like spin it to try and like blame her. You're the reason I don't have a social life. But I also like whenever she like pulls up as he's walking, she's like, David, what are you doing wandering the streets? And then she's like, it's a store laying people off. Like Moira never can wrap around her head around the fact that David owns the store and cannot be let go. Like every time she talks to the store, like even though she's proud of him, she can't quite wrap her head around the fact that no, he owns it, he makes decisions. And he's like, saying, you make me sound like a feral cat. And then she drives off and leaves him, even though they're both heading home.
We're going to the same place.
He's so angry. I love that so much.
So
the fact he's wearing those iconic sunglasses as well. It just like adds to the stupidity of this whole scene.
Yeah.
So good.
And then whenever they do get together for their dinners, she's doing a working dinners and making him like give opinions on stuff or asking about stuff. And then her like thanking him for like, yes, I think my name should be on everything. That's a great suggestion. Like, well, it was already there, so it's more of an observation, actually.
Yeah. It's perfect. It just no notes, 10 out of 10. Like it's just this is what you expect when you see David and Moira in a scene together.
Yeah. To live in Moira's world and to see things through her lens of just everything going along with her narrative. Oh, the delusion. I wish I had that. Of just the self-confidence. Yeah. Like if someone just points out quite cattily that I have put my name on all the poster mock-ups and I take that as a compliment and like as a good suggestion, I'm like, yeah, that would be wonderful. But no, instead, plagued with anxiety and guilt. So yeah. We should all be a bit more Moira.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our ratings. I don't know. This episode I think is a little tricky. Stuart, who are you gonna give out your simply the best point to?
Genuinely haven't thought about it until this moment, and so I am feeling like a deer in the headlights. Okay, let's weigh it up. I mean, David covers for Patrick and Stevie. I think that's a very nice thing to do. Twyla gives some great advice.
Twyla gives solid advice.
Yeah, I think Alexis comes to a good decision, but also, I mean, she is like taking a lot from the relationship, and this is like the first time that she's really thought to be quite giving in the relationship, which I think isn't a great thing. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards David in this one. I think David like has, again, like I often put David's character as being quite a supportive one in terms of not necessarily pulling focus all the time, despite seeming to pull focus all the time. Like David is almost like a sounding off board for a lot of people to make jokes about. And so it's nice that David gets like to be a supportive character in this in terms of supporting the people in it, but also having quite a lot of jokes in this one as well. So yeah, I'm going to give it to David.
Okay, David on the board for this episode. What about you, Todd? Who you got?
David was the contention for me for sure, but I think ultimately I have to give it to Ronnie for just being a roast master. I think that she actually gives Johnny some really good advice, which by the way, Johnny kind of ignores because she's like, stay away from children, spouses, and health. And what's his first joke? About the spouse.
Yeah.
So but still, I think that Ronnie gives some really good advice. I think she's like just really, brutally honest with Johnny, which he kind of needs. And also she has like great singer about Bob and Gwen. So I got to give it to Ronnie.
Yeah. These are both good picks. I think I'm going to diversify our picks here. I feel like this has been a while since we've had this happen where we all choose someone different. And I do think there's like plenty of people it could be. I think like that cartwheel Stevie girl, like the cartwheel alone,
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
like is so good. Patrick, again, like Patrick and Stevie, I think are both worthy just from the amount of effort they're putting into this production. Alexis also stands out to me as someone who like, and I think if we're looking, like, you got to look at it, it's all relative, right? Like, for Alexis to realize, like, I am someone who takes and takes and takes in a relationship and, like, takes a second to be like, you know what? I am going to, like, self-sacrifice. And it's, like, a pretty big self-sacrifice. Like, it's not just like I'll give you I'll drive you somewhere. You know, this is like, I will move to an island with you for 6 months. Like,
I mean, her laptop is here. Okay. Her laptop is here. So
it's obviously can't move. Well-known thing about laptops, not portable at all. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Alexis. Like, I do think this is like a huge growth moment for her. There's so many people I could give it to. That is the thing. But I'm gonna give it to Alexis because I'm proud of her. I feel like this is a big, and also I think, like, I'm close to giving it to Twyla. There's so many people that could get it, but like, I like that she even goes to Twyla for advice. I think that is like her realizing like something is off and I need to like get a sounding board for this is pretty big for Alexis. So that's who's getting my simply the best point. Disgruntled Pelican points. I'm a little scared. Stop it, Stuart. Don't look at me. Tom, you go first. I'm so scared. I can't. I don't know what to do.
See, a part of me wants to give it to Johnny just to get a reaction out of Will, but I'm not going to do that. It's fine because ultimately Johnny asks for advice. He doesn't just try to plow ahead. And he actually kind of listens to the advice mostly, and he has a little moment of like succeeding. So as cringe as some of that is, I can't give it to Johnny. I hate to do this. It pains to do this, but I have to give it to Ted. I'm sorry. But I have to get, because I love Ted. I love Golden Retriever Ted. But the way that he went about trying to convince Alexis to do this was horrible. And it didn't feel like Ted. It didn't feel like, Ted to do this. Yeah. And Ted was acting, against his like good guy nature here. And I didn't like it. So, as much as I have to do it, he needs to be punished whenever he does things like this. Roll up newspaper, whop him on the nose. Bad, Ted, bad.
No, Stuart, who are you going to give your Disgruntled Pelican point to?
It's got to be Ted. No! I'm so sorry. I'm so I was tempted to go Moira because I thought that the fact that she engineers a scenario with bad direction notes that aren't being received by the people that she's meant to be directing, and her not being able to recognize that and be able to help should also be a thing. But I mean, it's just funny and it's set up for like a funny situation. Ted needs a rolled newspaper on the nose and just give him a boot. Just like, no, buddy, don't do that. Don't.
But does he need? I think he suffered enough with 2 minus points. Don't you think? Like, I think 2 is plenty. I think 3 is overboard for what he did.
Jess, if you were to rescue this by not giving it to Ted, I would not be angry because I hate the fact that I have made it 2 at this point.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. There's just no other option for me. But I hate doing it for Ted.
Who else is there? Like, I that's what I'm struggling on. Like, who are you leaning towards?
Even Roland's not that bad this episode.
No, Roland's fine. Roland doesn't do anything really offensive at all.
That's just the default. And like, nope, you can't even bring Roland here.
The only person I could possibly give it to, and I'm just
I love that you look into the corner to your husband because you know that he's going to shout at you.
I could give it to Johnny and save Ted. No. He has headphones on, so he doesn't know what I'm saying.
Wow!
Just by divine intervention, try to warn him. I don't know. I just feel bad. I don't think Ted should have 3 minus points for like one bad episode. It just feels, especially when he's not been around this much this season. Like, he's just, and it's just so like weighted poorly with him not being around and then showing up and then having like kind of an episode. I'm just gonna give it to Johnny, and I'm gonna do it so quick, and we're gonna move on so that we don't have to linger too long on it. Okay, nothing happened.
Good thing Will doesn't listen to this podcast at all. He'll never know.
He'll never know.
It's a good thing I didn't just send a message telling him exactly what you've done and told him to shout at you.
He's looking at me. You're a monster. Betrayal. The betrayal. The betrayal. Did you hear?
Yes, I could hear him.
Betrayal.
So
Listen,
good.
Ted can't get -3 points on one episode. It's too much.
I think you can.
No, he can't.
You can.
No, he can't. Anyway.
I'd veto her vote.
You can't veto anything. You have no powers. You have no authority here.
I'm the fourth person in the podcast.
You're-
I vote Ted.
No one can hear you, so it doesn't matter.
We could hear the fourth person in the
No,
podcast.
no one can hear anything. I don't know where I was. I feel like I messed up my spreadsheet
Ranking.
somehow. Also, in the midst of all of this, it's fine. I'll fix it later.
Sabotage. You're
this
just trying to
That's
make
so
sense.
sad. I can't do it. Okay, I can't do it. So we're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about Moira's wig. So we're gonna do the wig watch. And it's green.
Iconic. It's the iconic one, right?
I love
This is
this.
one that I see gift a lot all over
It's
the
like
place.
Beetlejuice
Yeah.
in the best way, in a very
It's
complimentary
wild.
way.
It is a wild
Mhm.
wig, is all I can say.
Listen, the more volume that a wig has, and the crazier the color the wig is, the more I like it. So, like, we're trending up with this wig.
hmm
I think it's a good one.
More crazy Moira wigs. I need more like this. Like, I need more variants. I need more like volume. I need more colors. Yeah.
Yeah,
None of these subdued wigs that actually look like they could pass it like for a normal person.
exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
I don't
No
want
one
them to be
wants that.
Yeah,
mental.
who needs that?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's tier rank this episode as usual. Hot chip, full bouquet. Love that journey for me. You, David, and shit out of luck. Stuart, where are you thinking this one should go?
Ooh. See, I was leaning originally to Love That Journey for me because I was like, it's some things I don't necessarily kind of like vibe with. But I'm actually thinking it's probably in full bouquet, I think, because I'm just bringing my own projection of where I think things might be going, which isn't applicable to this episode, I think. Like, it's setting up some stuff up. But really, as this episode, they resolve that stuff. So I can't be too down on that. So I'm thinking lower end of full bouquet, perhaps. What about you guys?
Okay. Todd, I was actually leaning for Love That Journey for me. I think this is like fairly average. Like, I think the best part of it is the reason you came on, which is the cabaret moment of money at the end. But I think that some of the cringe of Johnny's stand-up is like, it's average. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad, but it's also like not my favorite. But what do you think, Todd? Where would you put this?
Yeah, I think honestly, Love That Journey for me sounds about. I'd probably put it at the top of Love That Journey for me.
It could go above A Whisper of
Yeah.
Desire.
Yeah, definitely above A Whisper of Desire. I think it really does straddle that line. I think that overall, the 10 of it all does drag it down for me a little bit. Not for the reasons why it's dragging it down for Stuart, but just Ted's behavior this episode just kind of like it's a sour taste in my mouth a bit. And so that kind of keeps it from doing full bouquet. Like if they had done that storyline in a slightly different way about Ted asking her and her turning it down and then coming to realization without him doing the kind of like mambly pambly, dance around, not asking for what he wants or telling her why he wants it. If it hadn't done any of that, full bouquet for sure, I think, for me. But because of that, it really does drag the episode down for me a little bit. So I think top of Love That Journey for me, because the roast works so much better than you think it would. And the whole scene with him going to Ronnie and Bob for advice is really well done and really funny. And of course, all the cabaret stuff, not just the performance, but also everything with David and Moira. So much funny stuff in that as well. So I think it's a good episode, but it's not a really, really good episode. So I think top of Love That Journey for me is where I would probably put it.
Yeah. Especially because we've always called like Love That Journey for me is good. Full bouquet is great. And I do think this is good, not great.
I guess I was swayed. I guess I'm a sucker for anyone that performs anything remotely well. As long as they're not performing it like directly in front of me and it's not like uncomfortable performance territory, I'm just like, get away. But like when people do stuff and I'm like, I could never do that. Like that cartwheel was seriously impressive. And so like I think that kind of edges it up. Like full agreement. I think that like Love That Journey for me is good, and it's certainly higher than The Whisper of Desire. Like I think that I think that's a more than a fair compromise for it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, top of Love That Journey for me, bottom of Full Bouquet, it's still roughly in the same bit. Like
It's about
still
the
Yeah.
same
those
spot.
episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, let's confirm it then. It is going into
Love that journey for me.
Love getting use out of
It's been a
that
while
sound.
since
Love
we've
that
got to
so
use
much.
those.
I know. I forgot to clip Johnny laughing in this episode just to like torture you with, because it's so, I don't know. It's just it's just like a really weird laugh.
I hated it so much. You threatened me with it, and I was like, no, I will quit.
Yeah.
So it's probably best that we don't.
Well, now I have to get vengeance. So it will happen at some
It
point.
doesn't work this way, Jess. No, I
definitely
bully
does.
you. You don't bully me
No,
back.
it's gonna happen now. Also, before we end the podcast, Stuart, we do have to tell people that we have reached 200 YouTube subscribers. It has happened.
It finally
Happened.
happened.
It happened. And I've already forgotten what we talked about doing.
It was wigs, right?
We definitely talked about something, and now I can't remember what the hell it was.
We're gonna watch
are we
Cabaret at
doing?
some point.
Yeah.
Possibly. I'm not sure like how we might engineer something like this. I'm not sure if we'll organize like some sort of a watch along at some point or something like that. But we're certainly gonna do that at some point. Maybe
Mhm.
some other stuff. I don't know. We still need to work it out.
No, we talked about doing a bonus podcast also covering a movie
That was
that
it.
has
Yes.
Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara called A Mighty Wind.
I love
Yes.
A Mighty Wind
So
so much. The music in A Mighty Wind, I love it. It's like the whole mockumentary like Best in Show, but it's like folk music, and it reminds you a lot of stuff that I listened to as a kid with my parents. My dad loved the Kingston Trio, and so like I can just like all the influences in it. It's really funny. If you like Best in Show, I think you'll really like A Mighty Wind.
Yeah.
So
and you know what?
Oh, really?
It's an hour and a half long. Everyone rejoice. Incredible. I can't help
Amazing.
myself.
Yeah.
So we're gonna watch that, and we'll put out a bonus episode. We are gonna watch Cabaret, and then we'll probably do a watch along at some point. So lots of exciting, fun, celebratory things.
Yeah. So we won't be shouting at everyone to get us to 200. We'll be shouting you to get us to 300, baby.
and that's
It
waterboarding
starts
number,
today.
right? 300's waterboarding.
Yeah.
300, I will be waterboarded. Yep.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, if we get that.
That's what I'm saying. We only have one season left. I think I'm safe.
Yeah,
But you
that's what
never
I'm
know.
thinking.
You never know.
I mean, people buy some bots. Come on, we got to get the waterboarding.
Tom trying to get me waterboarded.
Don't you dare Lou Wilson this with that game.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
incredible.
so good.
Well, this was incredible. I feel like I enjoyed this podcast more than I enjoyed the episode, and I liked the episode. So this was like a really incredible time.
Mhm.
Todd, you have so much going on. Tell people where they can
Yeah.
find you and what else you're chatting about lately.
You can mainly find me over on Whirlwind Podcasts, where we're doing Everwood coverage on One Indescribable podcast. We are currently going through Previous Little Liars, where I am the only person who's actually seen Pretty Little Liars, and everyone else is only watching the previously ons and trying to figure out what's going on with that. That's always a lot of fun. And when we get done with that, we'll switch to Previously on Shameless, where Sarah is the only one who's seen Shameless, and Adam and I are trying to figure out what's going on from the previously ons. Tommy and I are going through Gravity Falls right now over on Tuning In. We just finished season 1 this week, and we'll be doing a kind of break. We'll be talking about our favorite cartoon villains, and then we'll be going back into season 2 of Gravity Falls. Also over Whirlwind, we have Veronica Mars coverage. We have Doctor Who coverage. I feel like there's probably going to be some other stuff coming on. You can go listen to Melissa and myself talk about Etoile, which sadly got canceled after 1 season, despite getting a 2-season order, which just breaks our hearts. And also you can go and listen to our coverage of Schmigadoon, where Adam, Lena, and I also watched Cabaret and talked about that in relation to the episodes of Schmigadoon that
Hey.
it inspired. So you can go hear my thoughts and the history of Cabaret and all that there. So lots of fun stuff in the Whirlwind Pods feed.
Incredible. Stuart, do you have anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to tell people about? You can tell them about
Not that I
Expedition
can think
33
of.
if you
No.
want. No?
Oh my god, Expedition 33. If you haven't played it, people, play it. I am being evangelical about it and slowly getting people in my social circle to play it one by one, and getting people coming to me and going, I hate you for recommending me this game because it's beautiful and the story is fantastic. And I'm like, yes, I know. I cried about it on my own. I need you all to suffer as well. So yeah, I believe I've converted you and Will over to it. So if you're listening and you're like, you want to play a game, Expedition 33 gets it.
There you go. You can find me over on Shit 90 Shows Taught Me, but you already knew that. That's fine. And yeah, well, and we're covering season 4 of Buffy with, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's my favorite season of Buffy so far. I'm just saying we haven't finished it yet, but it's so good. It's a really fun season.
I mean,
so yeah.
one episode coming up is one of my top 5 episodes of Buffy. This season has 2 of my top 5 favorite episodes of Buffy in it. So
I've heard there's one of the worst episodes ever also coming up. So I can't wait for that because we'll see if it's worse than the pack.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think the episode is as bad as a lot of people say it is, but we'll see how you land.
Yeah, can't wait. So that's all we have for you today, everyone. So we'll be back next week. Oh, Stuart, you want to know the title of next week's episode?
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know what the title is.
Season 5, episode 13, The Hike. Who's going hiking?
Is this going to be like the rope climbing situation again? It's going to be David out of water. It's got to be, right? Like, it's going to be like the high ropes. Yeah.
Or it could be like, take a hike. You know, like a... Did they say that over there? No.
Oh, yeah, we get... Not... We don't really say it, but we were aware of it.
Oh.
I don't know that anyone here says it either anymore, but still.
Wow. Shame.
I just said
I look forward to that, though.
Yeah, The Hike. That's next week. But yeah, that's everything we have for you today. So until next time, warmest regards.
And best wishes.
Tweet us on Facebook or leave us a review and you say, yeah, okay, I think I will.